When the black maid discovered the shocking truth, he wasn't just a guest, he owned the hotel. Maria had worked at the luxurious Maple Leaf Hotel for nearly 3 years, but she had never seen a guest like him. He strode in with an air of mystery, his expensive suit clinging to his muscular frame. The flicker of shadows cast across his face made his sharp features seem even more enigmatic. As the ornate chandelier cast mirrors of light and dark on the lobby, Maria felt a chill creep down her spine. There was something about this man that sent her heart racing. She wasn't just the maid here, she was the observer of secrets, a keeper of whispers. As she pushed her cart past the marble counter, she caught a glimpse of him at the registration desk. The clerk was all smiles, but the sort of smile that looked too painted on to be genuine. What was going on? The man leaned in close, his voice barely a whisper. That peculiar confidence made Maria's heart thump louder. She couldn't shake the feeling that his charm hid a dark truth. Later that evening, she found herself back in the lobby, mixing with the guests. She overheard snippets of conversation, the kind that dripped with intrigue. "Did you hear? He's been here before," one patron said, eyes wide with amazement. "Rumor has it he's not just a businessman, he's part of the family that owns this hotel." The other gasped, "That can't be right. He doesn't carry himself like a boss. He looked like a king among commoners." Just like that, Maria's curiosity morphed into a burning need to uncover the mystery. The tension swelled like the pulsing beats of the jazz band playing in the corner. Every glance his way felt electric. What was the connection? He slipped away mysteriously into the back halls, and Maria couldn't resist. The elevator doors dinged. Her heart raced. Curious, she stepped in, pressing the button to the highest floor, where only a select few dared to tread. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." As the doors opened, she found herself in a dimly lit corridor lined with portraits of stern-faced ancestors. A sudden thud echoed behind her, making her jump. Heart in her throat, she turned. A door creaked slightly ajar, revealing a slice of light streaming out. She hesitated. Should she peek? Was it too risky? The answers felt tantalizingly close, her body buzzed with urgency. What truth waited behind that door? Who was he really? Would she be smart enough to uncover it, or was there darkness lurking in the silence? Maria took a deep breath, ready to face whatever awaited her. The anticipation of revelation hung heavy in the air. Maria's pulse quickened as she pushed the door slightly wider, peering into the room. The faint glow of a table lamp illuminated the space, revealing lavish furnishings that screamed old-world luxury. The air was thick with a scent of leather and something more intoxicating, danger. In the center of the room stood the man, looking even more powerful under the soft light. He had removed his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing sculpted arms. He was on the phone, his voice smooth and authoritative. Although she could not hear his side of the conversation, his body language spoke volumes. Every so often, he'd punctuate his words with a sharp nod, as though he was sealing a deal, or maybe issuing a command. Maria's heart raced for a moment. She considered turning back. Maybe this wasn't her path. But the ache of curiosity pulled her in. What secrets did he hold? Who was he talking to? Were they discussing plans that affected the very hotel she worked in? Her mind spun with possibilities as a shadow moved behind him, a quick flicker, too fast to identify. Tall bookshelves lined the walls, filled to bursting with tomes decorated with dust. They seemed to hold the weight of history, one that entwined with his fate, their fates. Maria stepped into the room completely, ensuring the door didn't make a sound. She didn't want to alert him to her presence. Quiet as a whisper, she moved past the opulent furniture, searching for an opening. As she neared a desk adorned with papers, something caught her eye: a framed photograph. She picked it up, her fingers trembling slightly. It was an old picture, a family portrait perhaps, with the same enigmatic man, but younger. Surrounding him were familiar faces, the hotel's founders, if she guessed right. Just then, she heard the abrupt rise and fall in his voice, cutting her thoughts short. "I won't let them ruin everything we've built. I'll take care of it," he said firmly. The tone left no room for disagreement. Maria couldn't fight the impulse to inch closer. The man's focus was diverted, but suddenly, the phone call ended, and he turned his back to her, rubbing his temples as though weighed down by a grave burden. In that moment of vulnerability, Maria saw another side of him, a human side riddled with pressures. But what pressures? Was he truly a mere businessman trying to rescue his family's legacy, or was there a darker motive? The questions loomed like storm clouds, ready to break. Before she could contemplate further, the door creaked just a little too loudly. He whipped around. Their eyes locked, time froze. Maria felt the impact of everything she'd uncovered crash over her: her decisions, her intentions, her life at the Maple Leaf Hotel, now intertwined with the secrets it harbored. The look in his eyes shifted, curiosity wrapped in something else, a predatory hunger. "Who is there?" he demanded, taking a menacing step toward her. Panic set in, and Maria's instincts kicked in. She had to think fast. Would she run or stand her ground? Was the pursuit of truth worth the danger? Just then, the room's ambience shifted, the air thickened, almost crackled with tension. "I'll give you one chance," he said, each word sliced through the air like a knife. "What do you want?" Maria opened her mouth, unsure if it would be the truth that set her free or lead her deeper into his web. Then, against all odds, the answer tumbled out. "Why don't you tell me who you really are?" With the stakes raised, she felt the fight or flight instinct tangle with her need for knowledge, and the palpable suspense hung thick as they squared off in the room. But she didn't know his answer could change everything. What awaited her if she pressed on or retreated? The night felt darker than before, and the cost of knowledge might be more than she was prepared to pay. His gaze intensified, as if he were weighing her worth in that single, suspended moment. Maria fought the urge to back away, but knew a retreat would only spark his curiosity and suspicion further. "What do you think you know?" he asked, his voice low and edged with menace. He took another step forward, closing the distance between them until she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. It felt like being cornered by a predator. Maria swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. "I know there are secrets in this hotel, secrets linked to you." He smirked, a cruel twist that sent chills down her spine. "Secrets are a luxury, Maria. Few can afford to keep them without paying the price." Her pulse thundered in her ears. "I'm not afraid," she managed, though deep down, a tiny voice screamed that she should run. The thought of it ignited a fire inside her. She wanted answers. "Most are not," he said smoothly, circling her slowly. "But fear is a powerful teacher." Her fists clenched, overwhelmed by the way his presence commanded the room. "What did that phone call mean? Who were you speaking to?" The man arched an eyebrow, intrigued yet reserved. A moment of silence passed, and Maria felt a million questions tumble wildly through her mind. She could sense the shift. She was testing alliances in a game she didn't fully understand. "I suppose you were eavesdropping out of concern for the Maple Leaf?" he queried, as if he were mocking her resolve. "More like protecting my livelihood," she shot back, her anger pushing her forward, daring him to react. "Ah," he said, leaning against the desk, arms crossed. "And you think the key to that lies in who I am? Spoiler alert, I'm nobody to you." "Then why the secrecy?" she challenged. "Why the condescending tone? You're hiding something important." His expression darkened. "You're barking up the wrong tree, Maria. You can either walk out of here and forget this conversation ever happened, or you can make a choice. What choice? She asked. The words fell from her mouth before she could stop them. Curiosity hung in the air, blending with the palpable tension. Join me, he said, his voice low and enticing. Be a part of something bigger. We could use someone fearless like you. Fear surged again. Was it a trap? Her instincts screamed for her to flee, yet temptation wrapped around her like a vine. She wanted to know more about the hotel, about him. But what would the cost be for such knowledge? No. I can't just walk away from my life. Life is a series of choices, Maria, he countered, stepping back just a fraction, studying the chaos in her eyes. Either you cling to your safe little world, or you step into a much larger one. For a heartbeat, she stood there, teetering on the edge of reason. Everything she knew was in the balance, and she felt it teetering ever closer to the edge. Think carefully, because once you step further in, there's no going back. His words echoed in her mind, mixing with the haunting shadows of the room. What choice could she make? In that moment, the realization hit her like a bolt of lightning. She could either glimpse the truth, or walk away forever wondering. Time slowed as she deliberated. Behind him, the shadows of the room seemed to lean in, listening, waiting for her answer. Would she jump into the abyss with this mystery man or retreat safely, never knowing what lay on the other side? And as if sensing the shift in her thoughts, his eyes darkened, revealing a glimpse of something much more dangerous, something that made her heart race for a whole different reason. Before she could respond, a sudden loud crash echoed from somewhere in the hotel, shattering the tension in the room and scattering her thoughts. What was that? Maria exclaimed, panic seizing her heart. His expression shifted to one of sharp focus. Stay here. No, do it. He barked, and without further hesitation, he was gone, leaving Maria alone with that darkness, and the horrifying sense that danger was closer than she ever imagined. What had she just stumbled into? Now, she was left standing in that precarious silence. Her heart pounding as shadows crept closer. What would she do next? The answers were just beginning to unfold, and the night was far from over. Maria's mind raced as the echo of the crash faded into the eerie stillness. The tension hung thick in the air, each second feeling like a tiny eternity. She felt rooted to the floor, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavy on her chest. Shadows stretched toward her, whispering doubts louder than the crashing noise that had just shaken the hotel. What was happening? Her courage was slipping as panic brushed against her heart. Acting on instinct, she crept toward the door, her breath shallow. She shouldn't have stayed, she should run after him instead of being left alone in the dark. But the pull to understand the danger drew her back. The hotel was still as a graveyard, nothing but a shiver of a breeze passing through the cracked windows. Each step she took felt like an act of defiance against the unknown. She peeked out into the dim corridor. A crunch. She froze, heart jumping into her throat. The sound was too close, way too close. Maria's pulse quickened again as she pressed against the cool wall, feeling the rough texture beneath her fingertips. Curiosity battled with fear, and the choices converged on her like a flood. A door creaked down the hall, and between swirling shadows, she saw a figure emerging from the darkness. It wasn't him. Panic surged, and she backed away, her breath hitching. But as the figure moved into the light speckled by the flickering bulbs overhead, her heart sank into dread. It was another man, tall, with wild hair and an unsettling grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. He glanced around as if he were searching for something, or someone. Maria pressed her back harder against the wall, wishing for invisibility. Hello. He called out, his voice oddly cheerful, contrasting the grim atmosphere. Anyone there? The temptation to stay quiet almost overwhelmed her, but the fight for self-preservation ignited a spark of bravery. She needed to know what he wanted, even though every instinct screamed to run. Who are you? She managed to say, her voice sounding shaky but defiant. That he turned, surprise flashing across his face. Ah, a little mouse has come to play. He stepped closer, the grin widening unsettlingly. I've been looking for company in this lonely hotel. What do you want? Maria squared her shoulders, heart pounding. This one felt different. Instinct screamed at her, but she held her ground. That he chuckled, swaying slightly as though intoxicated by the very shadows around them. Just some fun. Secrets can be exhilarating, can't they? Especially when they involve powerful people. He leaned in, and for a moment, she saw something in his eyes, an unpredictable edge that sent a chill down her spine. Do you know the man who just left? Her heart raced. Why do you want to know? What do you know about him? Let's just say, he hummed, glancing around as if ensuring they were alone, he has a reputation. A reputation that creates enemies. Sometimes, it's not just the secrets you must fear, but those who want them. The shadows behind him flickered ominously, and Maria felt the walls inch closer. What had she walked into? Was he friend or foe? As she moved to step away, the lights flickered again, plunging the corridor into darkness. She held her breath, her pulse hammering in her ears. Don't be scared, he whispered, his voice now eerily calm. We just want to play. Before she could react, footsteps thundered down the hall, and the man spun around to face the approaching sound. Looks like your gallant knight is back. He taunted, and Maria's heart raced as she braced herself for whatever would come next. The echoes of footsteps grew louder, closer. Who was coming? And what would happen when they arrived? The line between danger and salvation was becoming increasingly blurred. What lay ahead was uncertain, and just then, it felt like the secrets of the maple leaf were ready to swallow her whole. Would she reveal the truth, or would she fall victim to the shadows? The sound of footsteps hit the floor with the kind of authority that could shatter any illusion of safety. Maria's heart raced like a wild animal trapped in her chest. She glanced at the stranger, his eyes glinting with wicked amusement, and felt a pang of regret for not fleeing to save herself. The lights flickered violently, struggling to hold their glow, casting dancing shadows that made the hallway appear alive. Who is it? She whispered, turning slightly to track the approaching sound with mounting dread. Every instinct urged her to bolt, yet she stood frozen, trapped in a web of curiosity and fear. Just someone who knows how to make an entrance, the man replied, a smirk creeping back onto his lips as he swayed back into the shadows. Maria's eyes darted among the contrasting pools of light and dark, those cruelly revealing flashes casting a grotesque theater of paranoia. With each step, the uncertainty deepened. She could no longer decipher whether the footsteps heralded someone coming to save her or a deeper threat arriving to seal her fate. Then, a brief flash of light illuminated the end of the corridor, revealing a tall figure with broad shoulders. Her breath hitched. It was him, the man she had lost moments ago, the one she had felt instinctively compelled to follow. Only now, the air around him seemed charged, laced with urgency and unspoken tension. Maria! He shouted, voice echoing strangely in the narrow passage. Relief and panic collided within her. Had she been waiting in the wrong place? Was he here to pull her from this nightmare, or was he now part of it? The stranger's laughter rang out, harsh and mocking. Too late, sweetheart. Your knight in shining armor isn't here to save you. He's got secrets of his own. Maria's blood ran cold. She focused on the figure rushing toward her, needing to reach him, yet paralyzed by the venom in the intruder's tone. Looking back, she saw shadows swirling around the stranger, pulsating like a heartbeat, tightening their grip around her sanity. Stay back! She shouted, the tremor in her voice betraying her. Her thoughts raced. Was this man right? What if everything she had discovered about him was true? What if there was a darker truth beneath the surface of his charm? What's the matter, Maria? The man asked, his voice silky and predatory. You think he's going to protect you from the truth? You think he cares? The figure moved closer, his face swimming into clarity just as the lights flickered back to life. The cloth of his shirt glistened faintly in the dim light, hints of sweat dripping from his brow, revealing the strain of a confrontation that had yet to surface. "Get away from her," he commanded, eyes flashing with a mix of anger and desperation. Maria sensed his urgency, but doubt slithered its way into her thoughts as she weighed her options. Would she risk everything in the hands of a man she barely knew? Such bravery! The stranger clapped, seemingly entertained by the burgeoning drama. "But, oh, the truth is so much more enticing than heroics. Tell me." Maria shouted, stepping forward into the glow, driven by the need for answers. "What do you know?" Before he could respond, the lights began to flicker again, going dim, and suddenly, the ambulance-like wail of sirens filled the air, a chilling prelude to whatever havoc was about to unfold. A knot formed in her stomach. "Maybe it's time for you to know." The stranger's eyes glinted with a manic excitement, his voice dropping to a low whisper. "What if I told you your prized knight isn't just a visitor at this hotel? He owns it. All those secrets, all those enemies." With her heart hammering louder than the sirens, Maria felt the ground shift beneath her. The truth was looming like a wolf ready to pounce just as everything around her began to spin wildly out of control. But then, from behind a door further down the hall, a new sound echoed: a gunshot. What was that? She gasped, the horror of realization dawning on her, knowing the game was about to change again. Who had fired the shot? And why did it feel as if the walls of the maple leaf were beginning to close in on her? The moment had come to confront the shadows or to run headlong into them. What lay behind the next door was something she couldn't even begin to fathom. Would she uncover the truth, or become forever entangled in the web of secrets? Maria's heart thundered in her chest as the gunshot echoed through the narrow corridor, piercing the tension like a knife. Her instincts screamed at her to run, to escape the growing storm that spiraled around her. The man owning the hotel, the one she felt she barely knew, stood rigid, his jaw clenched, eyes darting towards the source of the sound. It came from the back room. He shouted, his voice barely containing the urgency. She felt his presence as powerful as it was perilous. "Don't go!" Maria called out, panic threading through her words. She didn't want him to become another victim in this mess that had crept in like a thief. The stranger, the man lurking in the shadows like a predator, leaned back against the wall, savoring the chaos unfolding. "Oh, but this is just beginning. There's a whole world behind that door, Maria. Secrets that don't mind spilling blood to stay hidden," he said with a gleeful hiss, his eyes narrowing in delight. With every second that ticked by, Maria battled with her indecision. What did she really know about either of them? The hotel, the whispers, the threats, it all blended into a swirling maelstrom of confusion. She glanced at the man who had come for her, the man she was drawn to despite everything. "Just let me go," she pleaded, her voice trembling. "Not a chance," he shot back, his fierce gaze locking onto hers as he stepped closer. "Not until we unravel this together. Don't you see? You're tangled in something much bigger than you realize." From the corner, the stranger chuckled softly. "Oh, so noble. But the truth has a way of painting people into corners, and it likes to reveal itself in the most unexpected ways." Before she could register his meaning, the lights flickered wildly again, plunging them into an almost complete darkness. When they came back, the man had vanished, swallowed by the shadows, leaving Maria alone with the stranger who was grinning like a cat that had just spilled the cream. "Don't you want to know what's really going on?" His voice curled around her, smooth and conspiratorial. "That gunshot, it's only a preview of what's at stake. You are dangerously close to the heart of it, sweetheart." "What do you know?" She shot back, trying to hold on to some semblance of control. "Enough to destroy your precious idealism." The words dripped from his lips like poison. "But let's not waste any more time. There's a door waiting for us both, and you have a choice: step through it or remain trapped in your little bubble of falsehood." With her head spinning, Maria felt the urgency clawing at her throat. "What do you mean, trapped?" The light flickering. "It means time's running out." He stepped toward her, a low thrill in his tone. He's not who you think he is, and the sooner you find out, the better. But know this: finding the truth will come at a cost. Something inside her shifted, a cold knot of realization tightening around her gut. She had come to this hotel seeking answers, unaware that the search would plunge her into a perilous game of life and death. Suddenly, a shadow emerged from the dimness. It was the man, but he wasn't alone. Another figure loomed beside him, one she recognized only from fleeting glimpses: the bartender from downstairs, his face pale and lined with fear. He's not here for safety, Maria. The bartender gasped, his breath hitching. He's part of it. Maria's heart sank as dread washed over her. In this chaos, the walls were closing in as they never had before. The truth felt like a jagged rock in her throat. Could she choke it down, or would she suffocate on it? "Looks like war has come to play," the stranger purred, an excited glint in his eyes. As the shadows thickened and night sunk deeper into the corridors of the Maple Leaf, Maria realized, she had one chance to alter her fate. But would she emerge unscathed, or would the secrets buried within tear her apart? The atmosphere crackled with uncertainty, and as she stepped forward, a soft whimper echoed from behind another door, another sound that could hold the key to her survival, or her doom. What lay hidden in the dark was about to reveal itself, and Maria had to decide: would she face it, or would the fear claim her first? The whimper grew louder, a pitiful sound slicing through the heavy air, making Maria's skin crawl. What kind of horror could be hidden behind that door? Her heart raced as she glanced nervously at the man and the bartender, both towering figures filled with secrets and shadows. The stranger leaned closer, his breath tickling her ear. "Every choice has a price, Maria. Sometimes, the cost is silence, other times, it's blood." "Shut up." The bartender's eyes darted around, filled with fear. "This isn't the time for games. We need to leave." "No," Maria said, shaking with both fear and determination. "Not until I find out what is behind that door." An admirable choice, but potentially disastrous, the stranger chuckled darkly, his smile widening. With every ounce of courage she could muster, Maria stepped towards the door. The whimper transformed into a soft cry, a haunting sound that urged her closer. She felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. This was her moment to either sink or swim. "Don't!" The bartender's warning was too late. As she turned the doorknob, she could feel the heat radiating from behind it, as if the secrets inside were alive, ready to unleash whatever they had been hiding. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit room, the walls draped in dusty velvet. The air inside felt heavy and thick, saturated with the smell of something rotten. A flickering bulb swung overhead, casting menacing shadows in every corner. And there, on the floor, lay a figure bound and terrified. "Help me." The voice trembled, accompanied by a familiar face. It was the hotel manager, his eyes wide and filled with terror. "Get me out of here." "Why? What happened to you?" Maria gasped, but as she moved closer, her instincts screamed at her to be cautious. The sight of the manager, caged like an animal, twisted her stomach that he gasped for breath, blinking furiously. "It's him. He's been manipulating us all. The hotel, it's a front for something far more sinister." Maria looked back at the stranger, who merely smiled, as if savoring her confusion. "Am I hearing this right? You're saying he's part of it?" Maria shot out, glaring at the bartender. The two men shared a moment of silent acknowledgement. "Yes. The very man you trust." The manager pleaded, his voice cracking. "He needs you to believe him so that you become a pawn in whatever game he is playing." Maria's heart sank deeper. The intricacies of the hotel took on a mind-bending clarity: betrayal, greed, and fate twisting together like a dark tapestry. "Be careful who you believe," the stranger whispered, stepping away from the wall, excitement flickering in his eyes. "He's not the only one hiding truths." But before she could comprehend his words, the lights blinked out again, plunging the room into darkness. The manager's cry echoed in her ears, frantic, desperate, filled with terror. "Maria! Don't listen to him. He is a liar." She turned back towards the stranger, who was now a shadow, his laughter echoing like the tolling of a bell in the night. "Choose wisely, Maria. The truth is a double-edged sword." The lights flickered back on, but the room was empty. The manager, the bartender, and the stranger had vanished, leaving only an empty shell of a room and Maria, isolated. She felt the chill of dread forming a thick layer over her skin. She was alone in a world that felt more perilous than ever. Just when she thought she couldn't take another step, the door slammed shut behind her, locking her in and flooding the room with darkness once more. The air turned electric, and she could feel a presence looming, encircling her like a predator waiting to strike. What fresh horror awaited her in the shadows? And could she unveil the truth before it consumed her entirely? Maria stood frozen in the darkness, her heart thundering in her chest. The air grew heavier, thick with an almost tangible dread. Was it her imagination, or was something breathing beside her? She felt the walls closing in. The flickering light cast erratic shadows that danced like restless spirits, refusing to let her feel safe in this nightmare. The reality of how alone she truly was hit her, encased in a room filled with horrors and secrets, with no idea who to trust. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling, unsure if anyone could hear. "Is anyone there?" The oppressive silence hung heavily, suffocating. Then she heard it again, the whimpering. It seemed close, followed by a soft thud as if something had fallen in the darkness. Maria's instincts kicked in, pushing her toward the sound. She took a hesitant step forward, her adrenaline guiding her through the pitch black. Then, out of nowhere, a loud clattering rattled the fragile silence, and she leaped back, heart racing. Her hands searched for something, anything to hold on to in this veil of unknown terror. She kept whispering to herself, "Stay calm, Maria. Just find the light." Suddenly, she noticed a faint glow seeping from a crack beneath the door. It wasn't much, but it was enough to galvanize her. Careful, deliberate steps took her to the door. She gripped the handle, expectation thrumming through her veins. With a powerful twist, the door swung open, not to freedom, but to a larger expanse of darkness. A hallway stretched out before her, dimly lit and almost inviting. A faint voice echoed, beckoning her to follow. "Maria, come here." The voice was weak, almost indistinguishable, but familiar enough to draw her forward. "The manager?" She hesitated, heart pounding but inability to resist. It felt like a bizarre magnetism pulling her deeper, deeper into the unknown. As she stepped out, shadows flickered at the corners of her vision. A movement, a shift. Were they watching her? The hallway was lined with doors, each one closed and holding its own secrets. The urge to peek inside almost overwhelmed her, but she fought against it. It would lead her nowhere good. The whisper grew louder, "Please help me." It sent shivers down her spine. "Where are you?" she whispered back into the dark, searching with her eyes. Follow the sound." Maria moved forward, the darkness seemingly swallowing the light behind her. Her breath hitched, a mix of anticipation and fear constricting her throat. The hallway twisted and turned, winding deeper into the bowels of the hotel. She passed door after door, each etched with strange symbols that sent needles of anxiety into her skin. "Turn back." The voice was suddenly sharper, frantic, causing dread to spike inside her. She could almost feel icy fingers creeping up her spine. "Get out of here now." Was it the manager warning her against the traps laid before her? Or a lie, meant to keep her from discovering the truth? Her heart raced as she faced a choice. Escape back to the familiar threats or plunge further into the mystery at hand. "Mari," the voice choked, cut off abruptly. Silence poured back into the hallway, wrapping around her like a shroud. "No!" she cried out desperately, her fists clenched. But then, a shift. One door ahead began to creak open slightly, a sliver of light spilling into the darkened corridor. Before she could stop herself, she found herself stepping closer, drawn far too deep. What secret did that door hide? And what waited on the other side? A sudden chill grazed her cheek, a warning. Or an invitation. Maria steeled herself. This was it. Whatever that door concealed might alter everything she thought she knew. As she pushed it wide open, she held her breath. What would she find, and when the truth came to light, would it save her or seal her fate? The door swung open slowly, revealing a dimly lit room that felt miles away from the dark hallway. Dread pooled in her stomach as Maria squinted to make out the details. The weak glow came from a flickering bulb hanging crookedly from the ceiling. Each wavering flicker sent shadows leaping across the walls, contorting into strange shapes as if alive. Help! The voice was there again, even more desperate now, echoing within the claustrophobic space. With shaking hands, Maria stepped inside, the door creaking ominously behind her. The air was thick and stale, laden with a musty scent that clawed at her throat. She felt suffocated, as if the very walls were closing in around her. Please. The whisper echoed again, drawing her further into the cluttered room. Old furniture, draped in white sheets, loomed like ghosts around her, creating an eerie feeling of being watched. Who are you? She called, her voice barely a whisper, swallowed by the darkness. Her heart raced, the thrumming echoing in her ears. Over here. Following the voice, Maria moved cautiously toward the far corner. In the shadows, she could just make out a figure huddled on the floor, trembling under the sheet draped over him. Are you hurt? She asked, urgency seeping into her tone. She knelt down, heart pounding as she reached to pull the sheet away. It clung stubbornly, as if resisting her efforts. With a swift tug, she whipped it off, gasping as the dim light fell upon the face of a man she recognized. It was Matthew, the hotel manager, his eyes wide with shock and fear. Maddie! She exclaimed, relief flooding through her even as confusion settled in. What happened? Where's everyone? He struggled to sit up, blood staining his shirt. Panic flickered across his features. I don't know. They were here. The guests, the ones who came in the night, they're not who they seem. What do you mean? Maria's breath caught, the weight of his words crashing over her like a tidal wave. He grabbed her arm, desperation etched in his eyes. They're not just guests, Maria. They own this place. They can control everything. It's all part of something terrible. What do you mean? Control. As he spoke, a low thud came from the far end of the room. Both of them turned their heads sharply, eyes wide. Maria felt the breath hitch in her throat. The shadows behind them seemed to twist and shift, darker than the rest. Then came the sound's footsteps, heavy and deliberately slow, advancing toward them. A chill crawled down Maria's spine. They know you're here, Matthew hissed, panic seeping into each word. We have to move. I can't leave you. Maria felt the surge of fear intertwine with a surge of resolve. What had happened to him? You have to. There's no time. His eyes darted around, urgently. Just go. I'll hold them off. No. She shook her head, willing herself to act rationally. We can't leave. But before she could argue further, the door creaked open again, and figures stood silhouetted against the hallway light. Dark shapes drew closer, their faces obscured, but Maria could sense their malice, their intent. What are we going to do, Maddie? She whispered, her voice trembling as the shadows moved into the room, swallowing the light behind them. Run! He shouted, pushing her toward the back exit. Go! But where? Where could they possibly hide from the truth and the terror that waited for them? Maria hesitated, frozen between the urge to escape and the loyalty to the man who had been her only ally in this chaos. As the footsteps echoed closer, she made her choice, one that would change everything. Drawing in a sharp breath, she darted toward the only remaining window, feeling a surge of adrenaline. With a loud crash, she burst through it, shattering glass and noise, and leapt outside into the night. But as she landed and turned back, a realization washed over her with stark clarity. They would come for her now. What had she unleashed? And who truly was the guest in the hotel? With her heart racing and uncertainty fueling her steps, she scanned the darkened city beyond the hotel's grasp, her mind gearing up for the fray. Now she faced a reality she never anticipated. Secrets waited to be uncovered, and the more she unraveled, the deeper her journey would plunge her. What would she find as she ventured further? A truth meant to shatter her world, or allies that could either save or doom them both? Maria stood at the edge of the shattered window, her heart racing as the cool night air rushed around her. The weight of her decision pressed heavily against her chest. She had leapt into the unknown, and now she stood at the threshold of a world much darker than she had ever imagined. Behind her, the hotel loomed, a foreboding giant steeped in shadows and secrets. She glanced back, adrenaline thrumming in her veins. Would they come for her? Would Matthew be all right? She had trusted him, but now doubts clouded her mind. Suddenly, her thoughts were cut short by a noise echoing from inside the hotel, a deep, menacing laugh that slithered through the cracks of the shattered facade. A chill danced across her skin. Maria took a deep breath and forced herself to move, her feet pounding against the cobblestones as she raced into the alleys of the city. Time blurred around her as the adrenaline propelled her forward. She had to find answers. She had to uncover what was really happening. Swerving into a shadowy side street, she ducked behind a dumpster, pressing her back against the cold metal. Footsteps echoed nearby, heavy and deliberate. "She can't have gone far," a voice snarled. The ice in her veins turned to fire as she realized they were searching for her. A rush of fear surged, she clenched her fists, and her mind raced. What had the hotel manager meant? Who were these people, really? She peeked around the corner of the dumpster, spotting two dark figures silhouetted against the streetlight. Tension hung thick in the air, and she knew she had to act fast. The choice between hiding and confronting the danger felt impossible, but surrender was not an option. With a burst of courage, Maria darted back toward the hotel, slipping in through a side entrance unnoticed. The brightly lit lobby seemed almost comforting now, filled with a sense of familiarity. Yet, a sinister undercurrent pulsed through the air, and she knew it was a facade. "Maria? You're back." It was the clerk, whose voice dripped with both surprise and concern. A quick glance around reminded her that trust was a precious commodity here. "The manager, he's in trouble." Maria whispered fiercely, scanning for exits in case she needed to escape again. "I need to. He's not the only one in trouble." The clerk's voice dropped, eyes darting over her shoulder. "You have to leave here now. You shouldn't have come back." But she couldn't leave, not now, not until she learned the truth. "I can help him. I have to find him. They're planning something horrible." With urgency driving her, she darted toward the staircase leading up to the higher floors. The clerk's warning echoed behind her, but Maria wouldn't let fear pull her back. As she ascended, each step felt heavier. At the top, the halls were quiet, eerily so. She crept forward, her pulse pounding in her ears, navigating the shadows. A door stood ajar at the end of the hall, and she spotted a flicker of light from within. Pushing the door open slowly, Maria was met with a room bathed in a hellish glow. Papers were strewn across the floor, and in the center stood a large desk lined with files that practically screamed the secrets held within the walls of the Maple Leaf. Rushing inside, she flipped through the documents, her breath hitching as the truth began to unfold. Names, transactions, illicit connections, evidence of a conspiracy that reached deep into the heart of the city. The man she was drawn to most, the one who pulled the strings in the dark, was a puppet master playing a game she had unwittingly become a part of. Just then, the door slammed shut behind her. Maria spun around, her heart racing faster than a freight train. The dark figure emerged from the shadows, and the haunting laugh she had heard before filled the air. It was him, the stranger with the uncanny grin. "Welcome to my world, Maria," he cooed, delight dancing in his eyes. "What do you want?" she demanded, fierce but trembling. "Want? Oh, I want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes," he taunted, closing the distance between them. "You're smarter than I." thought. And now you're caught in a whirlwind of secrets. But understand this: you cannot leave until you embrace the truth. Maria took a step back, glancing toward the door. The truth? You think I'd willingly play your twisted game? That's exactly it. You're already playing. He sneered, leaning closer. Your choice to come here. That wasn't by chance. It was destiny. You are part of something bigger, a piece of a puzzle that will fit together. Never, she spat, gathering herself to stand tall. I want to be part of your dark plans. You think you control everything, but I refuse to be a pawn. With an energy she didn't know she possessed, Maria lunged for the door, but he was quick, blocking her path. Run if you want. But there's nowhere to hide, he warned, voice low and dangerously sweet. The shadows thickened around him, dark tendrils dancing menacingly. Suddenly, another figure entered the room behind him. Matthew. Relief surged through her. He was alive. He rushed in, eyes wide and focused. Maria. Get out of here. The stranger turned, surprise flickering across his features, giving Maria the moment she needed. She dashed toward Matthew, who quickly grasped her hand. We need to go, he urged. We can't leave him. Maria felt torn, but they had to escape this madness. Shadows seemed to follow them, clutching at her heels as they bolted out the door. No time. Matthew insisted as they rushed down the stairs, the hotel's heartbeat rising like a storm behind them. The truth behind this place is worse than you can imagine, but together we can fight it. Running through the corridors, adrenaline fueled them. The walls trembled with every footstep, as if the hotel itself was angry at their escape. But the battle was just beginning. No more secrets. This was a fight for not only their lives but their very souls. As they emerged into the bright night air, Maria felt the weight of everything she had learned. A meta war awaited them, not just against the secrets of the hotel, but against the very forces that wanted to bury the truth. She took a deep breath, determination igniting within her. Together, she whispered, a silent pact forged. No longer would she stand idly by. They would uncover the truth, come what may, and with that resolve, she glanced back at the maple leaf, its shadows twisting ominously, hiding layers of betrayal and manipulation. But this time, she wouldn't let the darkness consume her. She was ready to fight, ready to face whatever awaited her next in this twisted game of secrets. The night was far from over. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive twists in this story. Smash that like button now to help let everyone know this wild ride of a tale is just getting started. Flood the comments section with your reactions. What do you think will happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to join this thrilling adventure. Your support is everything.